All right, y'all. We back with another video, man. Y'all already know what's going on. All right. We up early with it. Look, really interesting video today. Um, we're gonna dedicate this entire video to Judge Joe Brown and the interview that he recently did on the Art of Dialogue channel. This channel always, has a lot of good interviews. He definitely does a good job at choosing people who are you know, not gonna have much of a filter. And Judge Joe Brown has no filter at all with some of the topics that he chooses to go in about. This clip right here that I want to play first was about Tyler Perry and a little bit about Oprah as well. And so he hasn't had Judge Joe Brown on, his platform in a little while. So he was, basically catching up with some of the stuff that Judge Joe Brown thought about the recent events is what I'm trying to say, because the whole Tyler Perry thing was back in the summer. It was like June or July when that first broke. So he asked him about, his thoughts on the Tyler Perry lawsuit. And, he goes into the whole Hollywood casting couch thing. He also talks a little bit about Oprah, and some of her twisted views, a lot of Tyler Perry's twisted views. And there's this other clip from the same interview I want to show y'all a little piece of, where I didn't know much about this, and I'm not surprised, but it was a question about a, you know, a female couple having a baby in the movie Lightyear on Disney. I didn't, I have no interest in watching that. I didn't know they actually had that scene. And it stemmed from, I think, Snoop Dogg getting backlash saying that he was never going to the movies again because he took his child. And, this is a children's movie and they have two females as a couple having a baby in a Disney movie. Obviously, we're not surprised at that because we already know you know, what Disney promotes. We know from back when we were children what the cartoons were, promoting things that we had no idea about, that's just being implanted in your subconscious, right? And it's still the same thing today. So let's check this clip out real quick because there's something else I want to show y'all and relate it to as far as a current show that's sitting on Netflix. Check this out.
Tyler Perry, how you feel about the recent lawsuit filed against him for sexual assault?
I've referred to the Hollywood industry and the casting couch with the 7 Bs. Remember, unbelt, drop britches, drop boxes, bend over. See, that's a reality in that trade. So with the feminist movement, everybody is concerned about the heterosexual casting couch, but not the homosexual casting couch. So that is a reality. You saw Ellen DeGeneres. I experienced being asked to go boost her pathetic ratings and appear on her show and watched what she did around on her set. So, yeah, I can understand how that stuff comes out. And it is a reality in what's going on. And if you listen to what Tyler Perry does, he's essentially anti-masculine. He downs straight men, particularly straight black men, at every opportunity in his productions. And if you watch some of his stuff, check out some of his things. What's the one with I'm Black or something like that, where the guy is dying of some fatal disease and he runs this cosmetic firm, and his brother came up with the formula. The brother had problems with it, but the guy that made the money for the family didn't care about the fact that it was carcinogenic and would kill people. So now that guy is trying to be gay, so he gets this plain woman who was a stripper, and he starts making her friend, and he sets it up so she becomes the person that helps run the company rather. So Tyler Perry's favorite subject is bad-mouthing straight men, especially black straight men, and making them look like villains. Meanwhile, somebody gay comes in and helps out somebody that's a plain Jane girl or foolish woman, and they prosper in the end. That's what he does. So when you look at his art, do you ask, does it mirror his reality? And if somebody's got a fetish style taste for something, is that what he's prone to do to take advantage of a situation?
Now, it makes a lot of sense. And the show he's talking about, which I'm sure a lot of y'all have seen, is Beauty in Black, his most recent show, and probably might end up being his biggest show on Netflix. Um, Wild show, wild show. I mean, he's completely right about as far as what he promotes in the shows, the scenes with the two men with the wild. If y'all seen the show, wild. I mean, I just, I'm still all for man and woman, and to watch a show where two big men are doing that to each other is just crazy. But the dynamic is not just about that. But what Judge Joe Brown is talking about makes a lot of sense, though.
They sense so much of what he produces and directs has a psychological flavor of having been somebody who was an abused child or somebody in his youth got taken advantage of. So a lot of what goes wrong with this particular alt culture is that it has formed an alliance with people who are abusers of children, pedophiles, and such like. So you might expect to see fantasy reflecting reality and the opportunity to vest the same reality on somebody else being taken.
Now, that makes a lot of sense. You know what I'm saying? You will see fantasy manifest to reality. And thinking about the psyche of the shows that he produced, since time has, since his career has begun, he's going to talk even more about the whole Medea thing and how he has basically introduced that lifestyle. He, like, you know, when it comes to Hollywood and stuff like that, in a sense, he was talking about Tyler Perry being like damn near one of the pioneers of introducing a man as a woman. You know what I'm saying? Really pushing that. And I mean, it makes sense if, you're so good at creating this kind of content, these kind of films, it must stems from something. It must come from somewhere. Maybe how you was raised. I mean, with the lawsuit thing, it gave us an insight to the stuff that Tyler Perry really does. So, this it makes a lot of sense when you think about the psyche of a lot of these movie directors.
So I take it you're not a big fan of Tyler Perry. How do you feel about him personally?
I think he's poisonous. The worst thing we've had happen is, I know Flip Wilson used to do it. It wasn't that it wasn't done, but he institutionalized this tranny thing with Medea. The industry pushed the hell out of that because part of their agenda was to legitimate and popularize and get accepted this transvestitism.
Love how he said that. He institutionalized it. I mean, they pushed it like crazy. I mean, obviously, you could think about Martin, you know, um, you could think about the time where old dude, y'all remember, he was on that rooftop scene with Lil Bow Wow, and y'all know who I'm talking about because he realized he had did a ritual and he said his life turned to shit after he put that dress on with Martin and shit. Y'all know what I'm talking about, but that Tyler Perry institutionalized it, real shit. I mean, it's crazy how much it's like Hollywood said, "Oh, we got one, cool, let's run it up." They ran it up with Medea. There's Medea everywhere. Medea is still Medea to this day.
It's a sickness, but they made it normal. And quite frankly, the character Medea in the real world would probably be somebody that would need a really serious beatdown for the things that were normalized through the presentation. Think about it. Oprah, too. Roger King auditioned 350 women, and he picked Oprah. What he said candidly was he wanted a poster for, quote, ugly, stay-at-home female America. And she and her girlfriend Gail had been doing their thing, but the truth of the matter is, every opportunity that woman got on her show that was drafted, produced, directed, and enfranchised by Roger King was anti-masculine. Now, Roger King was an interesting guy. His father invented syndication for television. Our gang, you know, the Little Rascals, the Three Stooges, Laurel and Hardy, the old black and white movies, the old cartoons that were replayed on the kiddie shows, his dad set that up. Roger King was a 6'5" tackle of a football player who was a straight up man who liked his Jack Daniels. Great guy. But he inherited his father's business, which was known as King World. And he set upon expanding it, and he recruited Oprah. He recruited Dr. Phil. He was the one that picked her book club stuff. He's the one that ran her business, set up on, and then he died quickly with no prior illnesses of either a cerebral hemorrhage or a massive heart attack, depending upon who you listen to. He was very much into manhood and actually asked me to talk to his daughters about why they were having problems with men. One of his daughters had married a nice guy, and the other one, who looked like a beauty queen, who since died of breast cancer, unfortunately, was saying, Judge, how come I can't find a guy to go out with who's not like one of my friend girls with a dick?
Oh man, hey, Judge Joe Brown is something else. Look, this is what I wanted to talk about real quick. This show has kind of been going viral on TikTok. A lot of people watching it, and I've almost finished it. It's a pretty good show. But what will rub you wrong is this character right here in the jean jacket. And you know, you can clearly tell this is a feminine. You could clearly tell this is a feminine face, right? This is not a man, okay? And his role in the show, you know, he's a sheriff in a new town, officer in a new town, and he is married to a woman who is a part of this town's theme and the cult, and he doesn't know it yet. He starts investigating everything that's going on in this weird small town. But this is the mind part that is confusing to people who watch this kind of stuff. Obviously, adults know what's going on, most of us, but they got a woman to play a man who, I mean, when you watch the show, you'll see all these kind of like the people that they got to play in this show. Everyone kind of matches, you know. It's just, I don't really know what to call it. Very weird kind of looking people. I don't know. Hard to put a name on it, but the vibe matches. But it's just always so backwards to me. Why get a transformed female that transformed into a guy when you could get a guy? And then you think about it, you're like, okay, maybe they just wanted a softer role, a softer guy to play this. So let's just go get a female who transformed into a guy and they will match the vibe we're trying to create for this show. It doesn't make sense. This is basically the same topic, Judge Brown is speaking on. Because, we can go all the way back to Medea. You know what I'm saying? But this is just, it's so confusing. It's like, if you wanted to be a guy, just get a guy. There's plenty white dudes that got this style that she is trying to, portray. I mean, the he or the she takes his shirt off in the show. And you can tell that it's been surgery done, that they had boobs. You know what I'm saying? You can tell. But why, if you want a guy to play it, just get a guy. What's the point of getting a woman who transformed into a guy if you're not trying to push certain agendas? It's just crazy. When I was watching the show, it was just kind of off putting. It was just like, bruh, I mean, just get a dude to play it. It just don't make no sense. It's like eventually, every show is just gonna be infiltrated. Everything is just gonna have some kind of zest trans stuff going on. Every show eventually, there's not one show that comes out right now, especially if it's mainstream, that does not have, this trans zest agenda in it. Shit is getting crazy.
We do when you take them to see what is supposed to be a kid's cartoon that they want to see, because all of the rest of their peers, the kids, are going to see these cartoons, and you see that kind of poison. It's not healthy for anybody, because you can't teach them sexuality. As children, we just don't teach them overt heterosexuality because it's just unseemly. But you teach them the homosexual substitute for that, and you give them an implication of, wait a minute, what is this going on here? What is the meaning of this? Mom and dad is one thing. What is this mom and mom bit? What does this mean? It's all right to hold your guy friend's hand or kiss him. Well, what does that mean? Well, that's preparatory to him putting his penis up your anus or it in your mouth. Oh, well, didn't you realize that's what they're trying to teach you? Or you go do this, huh? That's what they're teaching you. They're conditioning you to the foreplay so that this just becomes a natural consequence. They're conditioning you to take the easy way. This is the thing. If you take straight adults and you analyze their lives by the time they get 50 or 60, the most difficult thing they've dealt with in their whole life is dealing with the opposite sex, whether it's your girlfriend, boyfriend, significant other, husband, wife, or whatever it might be, opposite sex co-worker. That is the most difficult thing for a human to do, is the complexities of dealing with the opposite sex. But if you don't have to deal with the opposite sex, there's a whole lot of grief in your life that does not have to take place, where you don't have to have the heartache, heartbreak, and everything. Oh, man, what is she thinking? Oh, wow, what does that mean when she gives you this?
I'm gonna stop it there because the only thing I'll say about that ending is, you know, I've seen some crazy females dating females, and you know, I don't think it's the grass ain't too much greener on the other side. You know, I mean, he got a point, but still at the same time, even if you are with the other sex, you know, you still gonna deal with some shit. Um, and these are some photos of it where the two women had a baby. I mean, it's just crazy to introduce this into, you know, the Lightyear series, Buzz Lightyear. I mean, from Toy Story back when I was a kid, none of this stuff was, Toy Story it wasn't touched, none of this stuff existed back then. And it's just crazy, man. It's crazy that they doing that to, these was classics when we was young. Snoop Dogg says he's scared to go to the movies with grandchildren after same-sex couple in Disney's Pixar Lightyear. Crazy. Scared to take them to the theaters over the themes addressed in the movies. What you see is what you see, and they're putting it everywhere. He said on the It's Giving podcast, they're like, she had a baby with another woman. Well, my grandson in the middle of the movie is like, Papa Snoop, How she have a baby with a woman? She's a woman. See? I mean, even little kids understand, you know, the natural order of things. Snoop said, I'm scared to go to the movies. Y'all throwing me in the middle of shit that I don't have an answer for. It threw me for a loop. I'm like, what part of the movie was this? These are kids. We have to show that at this age. They're going to ask questions that we don't have the answer for. And you shouldn't have an answer for it. I mean, why am I sitting here explaining to a child the unnatural way? I mean, it's okay. It's like, don't put it in front of children. It's okay if you want to do what you want to do and live that lifestyle, but why put it in front of children? If there isn't anything deeper and darker behind it, why put it in front of children? That's when you start to violate. But then again, we already know they don't give a damn. They don't care about children. They don't care. Yeah. All right, y'all. We'll go ahead and wrap it up right here. Very interesting topic. Definitely had to talk about this, man. Y'all already know what's going on. All right. It's Black Balloon, and I'm gonna see y'all soon. All right. I'm out.